Marvel is massively overrated. I will say old Marvel used to be amazing. When it was the original Iron Man movies and such, and I actually really enjoy Deadpool, but I just can't get into the Avengers or anything like that. It seems like it's went from actually somewhat realistic comic feel to just space, aliens, and other magical stuff. It seems too imaginary now to what it used to be. The films feel like they've went on too long. No idea how many Avengers films there are anymore, seems like too many, and each film is way too long to watch in one sitting. Plus every single person in the franchise is overpowered. I get they're meant to be superheroes, but why do they have to be that up? When you compare the villains as well to DC, they're terrible. Thanos is a big grape that snaps people away. The Joker on the other hand is someone with philosophy and meaning behind him. He's just crazy, that's it. No powers, yet he's still such an amazing character. I don't want to just sit here and hate on Marvel, so I will say, actors are really good in most films. The way the films are produced is amazing, but it just doesn't feel the same anymore. With how popular Marvel has become, this is definitely an unpopular opinion, and it's caused many debates between me and friends. Edit. After reading and replying to some of these comics, my opinion has changed slightly. I didn't do Thanos enough justice. He is a pretty good character, and I definitely was biased with this one. Also, someone did point out in a rather aggressive tone that I was referring to the MCU instead of Marvel, which is correct. I am not basing this post on comics or anything, just the cinematic universe. Thanks a lot to everyone's comments and being cool with me. I'm enjoying the debates between the DC and Marvel fanboys/girls. Where else am I going to get my giant blue space laser shooting the center of New York fix? They're reining in the wacky over-the-top comic stuff so hard. I also liked old Marvel until after Guardians of the Galaxy. That is to me when they realized that humor was really popular, and suddenly I feel it became the primary point for so many movies, and now so many just feel the same. There is a small number that differentiate themselves, but most just became a slog for me. I can appreciate on a meta level the interweaving plot and coordination between so many movies, but nowadays that's about it. What's worse is this bled to other movies, particularly every other movie Disney makes. The latest Star Wars movies are also full of it. The more I think about movies designed with this humor as such as huge point, the more I say, but why though? I'm all for comedic relief, but not every movie needs a wisecrack every 10 minutes. I don't think it's Marvel as much as it's the Joss Whedon school of writing a film, where it's loaded with stupid quips and no serious scenes are ever allowed full gravity because there always has to be some stupid joke cracked at the end of it for tacky levity. It's my hope that this style of film writing eventually just dies out and becomes something Hollywood never touches again, like overwrought acting style from back in the day and things like that. It seems like it's went from actually somewhat realistic comic feel to just space, aliens, and other magical stuff. It seems too imaginary now to what it used to be. I started seeing this as early as Iron Man 2. Iron Man's suit went from requiring a small room's worth of equipment just to be put on or taken off to having a spare suit in a briefcase that apparently weighs nothing. I loved Iron Man 1's relatively realistic setup for the suit, the technology, etc. So it was a shame to see the movies go that magic tech route later on. Prepare to be downvoted to oblivion, since this is not the sub for unpopular opinions anymore. LMAO, you think that Marvel heroes are up but DC's are not. Would you say that they're a Marvel? What's that? Oh look, the door. Thanks. I agree. The market is just far too saturated with them. I remember in the late 90s/early 2000s when a comic book movie came out and it was a huge deal. Now a new one comes out every 4 to 6 months. But they're almost guaranteed money makers, so I can see why they come out. Each movie nets about $50 million in profits. Most Hollywood executives get paid big bucks for green-lighting successful movies. So the more successful movies they give the thumbs up to, the longer they keep their cushy, high-salary jobs. As a guy who loves Marvel and DC, I can see where you're coming from, although I don't quite agree. I think Endgame was the MCU's peak, since the franchise will feel a little stretched beyond that point unless they find a good new direction. Good thing is it looks like DC is finally catching up with quality. As for the comics, I'm far more of a DC guy, but I usually just get the graphic novels/collections, so I can't really comment on current comic storylines. It's went from actually somewhat realistic comic feel to just space, aliens, and other magical stuff. But that's what the comics are. So I'm not allowed to post about Star Wars, but people can post about Marvel every 2 minutes? Asterisk in Anakin's voice asterisk it's not fair. I thought we were about to go head to head about marble floors and such. I need glasses. You brave soul. You won't be forgotten. Oh cool, someone else finally agrees with me. A few thoughts? Unrealistic nowadays. The second movie featured a man who survived a nuclear bomb and absorbed it, using it to embody his alter. The next two featured a man with megaroids who fought Nazis who obtained a space rock that could control space, and then an alien who wields a hammer then is magically enchanted. Comparing villains, you're taking Dark Knight Joker vs MCU Thanos. No. Take DCEU Joker vs MCU Thanos. Both are cinematic universes. DCEU Joker is shit, whereas Thanos has an actual ideology and you could say he is right. He wants to bring balance to the universe as he's seen the effects of an uncontrolled population. Too long? Well, yes. It's a cinematic universe. The films are connected. And Avengers films average 2.5 to 3 hours. For a team-up movie with upwards of 10 or even 20 heroes, plus side characters and villains, I'd say that is very manageable for a single sitting. The MCU is obnoxious as fuck. The original Iron Man movie was dope as hell though. DC boys, don't worry. You're not exempt. Y'all aren't getting as much heat because your movies suck so much ass that nobody cares. Joker doesn't count. It was decent. God bless Joaquin Phoenix. I'm not sure whether to upvote because it's truly unpopular or downvote because I disagree. No other movie franchise has created such an interconnected universe over the course of little over a decade. I wouldn't call them overrated movies because the hype is real and meaningful. All 21 movies build up to the final culmination in Endgame, capitalizing on a decades-long wait of character development and interactions. I watch superhero movies because I want to see the comic book heroes I cherished as a child be brought to life on the big screen. Some may argue that the MCU is one big, heartless cash grab, but for the millions of fans, especially around the world, the MCU is a cherished mythos brought to life. We can nitpick particular scenes that might have been poorly directed, but that doesn't take away from what the MCU has managed to accomplish in the world of cinema. Overrated, I agree. Massively overrated, nah. Marvel rescued the superhero genre and made it into the single largest cinematic universe in movie history. Not every movie is a winner, but they've been able to obtain a global audience using comic book characters. Much easier said than done. They were always going to receive too much love.